Hi class, so I'm gonna be doing this video fairly quick. Again, I'm trying to not make this as ridiculously long. So basically, if you need to pause at any point, just pause. Alright, so office hours every day 1 to 2, Google Meet. You guys know the drill by now. Here's the lesson title. Copy all of this down, do the warm up. I'm gonna assume you did it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Great. Okay, so we're going to be doing review today since spring break happened. I get it. So let's plot these. So let me get some colors. So we got, preferably if you have graph paper, use graph paper. We got 5. I'm just going to do 5 all around. All right, great. X, Y. So we have 5, 1. So that'll be right there. That's our point B. And then -2, 3. That's our point A. All right, great. So now let's see. If we're moving from A to B, how many units do we move to the left or right? Well, let's see. We're going to move to the right. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we do 7 to the right. All right, well, how about up or down? We'll go 1, 2. So we'll go 2 down. Okay, so the vector that we get from this, we're going to have 7, we're going to have 2. The question is positive or negative? So right is going to be positive, and then 2 down is going to be negative. And we have our vector right there. So that was 1, 2, and 3. Number 4, if you didn't remember this, you could have just gone to that video. It references it right here. So here, x stays the same, y changes. Here, y stays the same, but x changes to negative. So a way to kind of remember that is the one that is the axis stays. The one that's not changes to negative. Here, y equals x. They switch. And y equals -x, remember, that's going to be switch but negative. All right, if you need this, copy it down. We're moving on in 3, 2, 1, 0. All right, quick review of this. Translation means that we're going to be moving in 2 different directions. Horizontal, that's left and right. So we got horizontal, left and right. And then we got vertical, up and down. Horizontal, vertical. So the vector, so that's like, remember vectors are like an arrow with a point basically. How many units left or right? So that's going to be your x component, and how many up and down? That's your y component. So say we had a vector that was, that's a v for vector. Let's say -3, 4. Then that means how many units? So this is x, this is y. So 3, and then that's negative, so that's going to be left. And then 4, that's positive, so that's going to be up. All right, so now let's use our vector. So here we have some points. Let's use this as a vector to get the new points and then graph. So remember, we use this prime to show that we are going, we have another thing. So that's like the transformed thing. So this is fairly simple if you remember. We just take the x, and then we use that x component, just add it right there. Okay, and then our y's, let's write down our y's. And then let's add in the y component. And then now let's simplify that out. A prime, B prime, C prime. 2 minus 2 is 0. 4 minus 2 is 2. Negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. Negative 5 plus 3. Remember, that means we start at negative 5. And then we go 3 units, 1, 2, 3 to the right. So then what number is that? That is negative 2. So no, the answer is not negative 8. That is negative 2. 1 plus 3 is 4. Negative 2 plus 3 is positive 1. And are we done? Yes, with part A. Now we got B. So graph the original and the translation on the same graph. So let's do that then. Okay, great. So let's do a 5 all around. That seems to be a good number. Again, preferably graph paper. Okay, so let's graph A, B, and C, the originals. A is 2, negative 5. And then B is 4, 1. And then C is negative 1, negative 2. Great, now connect those. Oops. That was not what I wanted to do. Photoshop's a little too fancy sometimes. Great, so we got that. Now let's get the primes. 0, negative 2. So that's over at there. A prime. 2, 4. That's B prime. Then we got negative 3, 1. And then that should be it. Yeah, it kind of looks a little bit off, but that's probably just because of the fact that I'm not exactly using graph paper. So, moral of the story, use graph paper when you can. It was just a bit harder to fit that here, so I didn't. But in general, you know that I do. Okay, so next thing. Hey look, graph paper. Find the vector that represents this translation. So the thing is, the vector that translates one thing to the other, one point to the other, actually does that for literally all of them. So let's just choose A and A prime, because you know, why not? They're the first ones. So A is, what is that coordinate? That's going to be negative 4, negative 1. How about A prime? That's going to be at, let's erase this to make it more clear, 1, negative 2. So let's get the vector there. So remember, it's going to be final minus initial. 1 minus negative 4. And then negative 2 minus negative 1. 1 minus negative 4. Remember, minus negative turns into plus. Okay, so that becomes 5. That becomes negative 1. And that is our vector. All right, moving on in 3, 2, 1, 0. So reflection table. So this is just, again, real quick to remind us down here what it is. So the thing is we have x and then negative y. Now here we have negative yx, negative xy. Now they switch. Now they switch negative. Okay, so now let's just get those in there. So for the x-axis, that one's easy with the x's. So we just got 2, -3, and then 1. I find it easier to just like literally write all the x's first because it's just x. And then we just switch the y's. So -0 doesn't exist, it's just 0. Then -2 turns into +2. 4 becomes -4. Great. Alright, y-axis. Now that's going to be, the y's are the same, so let's just write those down first. And then make those negative. So -2. -3 becomes a +3. And then 1 becomes a -1. Make that 3 look a bit better so that no one goes like, I couldn't read it. Even though it's clearly a 3, what else could it be, you know? Okay, next things. Now we just switch. 0, 2. -2, -3. And then 4, 1. The next one, so they switch and then become negative. So what you could do is you can just use the previous one and then negative all of those, which is what I am doing. Obviously on like a test or something, you might be given just y equals -x, and then so you have to manually just look at those, the originals, switch them, and then negative them. Alright, so that's what it is. This is definitely a lot shorter than they normally are, so I've reached the goal. So if you need to, just pause, rewind, and yeah. Have a great day, everybody.